Hello and welcome to Travel in the Know with me, Philip Saunders from Larnaca Airport. It's Friday the 25th of April at around about 4:15 in the afternoon. That's 2:15 in the afternoon in London. You'll remember that this time last week we were marking Good Friday and then 2 days later Easter Sunday. And so too was Pope Francis in St. Peter's Square, Rome, where he gave the Easter blessing and then saw many pilgrims and children who'd come to see him. Sadly, as we all know, he passed away the following day, but surely leaving a valuable Easter message. Now, the Pope was known for being a man who believed in a frugal existence, and I'm not sure what he would think of people spending loads of money to come to his funeral. However, the purpose of this video is to see whether we can get to Rome with low-cost travel and pay our respects to the great, remarkable Pope Francis. As soon as I heard on Tuesday that the Pope's funeral was going to be this Saturday at 10 a.m, I set to work to find the perfect itinerary. Already, as you can imagine, airfares were shooting up and hotel prices something ridiculous. I'll tell you about that a little bit later. But also, the only flight to Rome that was really convenient actually leaves early on Saturday morning and would arrive in Rome after the funeral had started, with little chance of getting to St. Peter's in time. There was, however, one solution, and that was using my Wizzair pass in order to fly to Milano for €10 and then, wait for it, take the overnight bus, Flixbus, those green buses, all the way from Milan airport to Rome, arriving at about 7:35 in the morning on the city's outskirts. And the journey on Flixbus is costing around about £49, so that means in total £58 to get from Larnaca to Rome to hopefully be at the Pope's funeral just in time. Now, I think that the Pope would be okay with that because there's no hotel accommodation, and effectively £59-ish is roughly, I think, about the same as a normal second-class fare on the train from Milan to Rome, so very reasonable. However, the question of this video is, can Wizzair and Flixbus, in other words, low-cost transport, get me to Pope Francis's funeral on time? And it is going to be a race against time as well. The flight here leaves at 5:10 Larnaca time and is due to arrive around about 8:05 in Milan. That seems to me plenty of time. It's around about 4 hours, 4 block hours as they call it in the business. That should be more than enough as long as the flight's on time. However, I then have to transfer from Milan Terminal 1 to Terminal 2. My fault, that's where I booked the bus from. And I've only got a limited amount of time, and it's about 3 kilometres, and there's a bus that does that for you. Then, probably because I've never travelled, I don't think, by road between Milan and Rome, I thought they were quite close together, but it is a mighty bus journey. It's going to take over 9 hours, and then it drops you off on the edge of Rome, at Rome Tiburtina, something like that. Correct me, my pronunciation is always awful. And around about 7:35 in the morning, if all goes well. I think that's probably the best solution as well on the edge of Rome, as I can imagine that the traffic into Rome is going to be appalling. Then I take the underground, and that thankfully stops directly outside my hotel, which apparently is a bit of a flea pit, but we'll see about that tomorrow, where I'm going to drop off my rucksack, because I can't imagine the police or security forces allowing a rucksack into the area anywhere near the funeral procession. Think about all of the global leaders who are attending, for example. And then I have to make my way from there, which is very near the Termini railway station, to the Vatican, which is a fair old hall, and see exactly what happens. But this is something that I want to do. I want to pay my respects to Pope Francis. I was brought up a Catholic, I'm a bit of a lapsed Catholic, but one has to recognise that he was a good man, full of compassion, that has made a difference to many people. So let's hope the journey goes well. Apparently there are strong winds around Larnaca right now, so I think our flight might have been slightly delayed on arrival. Yeah, our flight is apparently on time, although I think it's actually already 5:10. Time is tight for me. What is an issue is that Wizzair always put you in a kind of holding pen ages in advance before boarding, and if there is any delay, it can become quite unpleasant. Thankfully the doors have been opened because it was hot and people, particularly with children, were getting very upset. Well, despite the announcement, it is actually 5:15 and the flight was supposed to leave at 5:10. I hope we're not going to be badly delayed. The charge begins. Time to board. Well, here we are, we're airborne. We've just been crossing the western coast of Cyprus. Lovely little puffy clouds and a beautiful clear day. Anyhow, we took off 40 minutes late, so at 5:50, and that's worrying me a little bit because the bus connection is fairly tight. If there's a long passport control queue, being non-EU or anything of that nature, we'll have to see. Funnily enough, I was texting my great friend Greeno Eats as we were actually heading towards the runway, and he said, "Philip, don't worry, Wizzair tend to pad out their block hours." Well, let's hope that's the case and that we land not too late. Looking at prices throughout the week, I don't think airlines have been overly guilty of price gouging. As for hotels, I think that's a different matter. Obviously, there's only a limited number of hotel beds in Rome. I moved really fast on Saturday and booked the Hotel San Giusto at a very reasonable price. Having said that, it's the bottom 3% of all TripAdvisor recommendations, so we'll do a separate film on whether that is not such a nice property or whether, as can be the case, it's actually much better than the TripAdvisor reviews. But let me give you an example at the top end of, I think, some outrageous price gouging as early as Tuesday. So the Intercontinental Rome Ambasciatori Palace, incorrectly pronounced of course, well, as early as Tuesday that was selling at £1,562 British pounds for Friday to Saturday night. Now, this is an expensive hotel. As I discovered, if you book the week after, for the Friday to Saturday, at the same time, so on Tuesday, it was already £938. But still, that's a lot more dear. I can't imagine that Pope Francis would have been very happy with anybody spending that kind of money for the night ahead of his funeral. As I've got absolutely no idea whether I'm going to get any sleep on the overnight bus, I'm going to try and get some rest now, so we'll see you on the ground in Milano, Malpensa. Here I am at Milan Malpensa Terminal 1. Now, we arrived a little bit late, got into the terminal building at 8:30, and the passport queue for non-EU citizens, I was told, would take well over 2 hours. Basically, there were hundreds of Chinese people in front of me, Italians, French and Germans 1 minute, British 2 hours, okay? Now, I don't normally get angry about things, but that is the Brexit dividend, let's be quite clear. And of course, one of the great things that the British government did is make sure that all EU citizens still get the same level of priority that British citizens get when entering the UK. I'm very pro-European, I'll be honest on that, but there has to be reciprocity. It's ridiculous. Nobody was willing to help me, and in the end, I literally asked 200 Chinese, one by one, to let me through. And now it's around about 9:05, and I got a chance of getting this bus. But theoretically, I'm in the wrong terminal. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm sorry about that outburst on passport controls. I promise that this channel won't be political, but it does make me cross that British are treated like this all the way across the European Union. Okay, so I've decided that the best thing to do is try and take the bus from Terminal 1, even though I booked it from Terminal 2. One assumes there'll be enough seats on board, but you never know. But hopefully, I just had to find it. Some of the information online says it's at exit 7, definitely isn't. And a couple of people have told me that Flixbus is at exit 4. I've found the Flixbus, I'm pretty sure it's going to Rome, so hopefully everything's going to be okay and I'll be allowed on. We'll see in a moment. It's green just like me, or my t-shirt rather. 9.5 hours on this bus. I need to find my inner Steve Marsh, inner Scott Manson. I'm sure many of you know what I mean when I say that. It's 7:40, it's bright if chilly here in Rome, so I've arrived bang on time and hopefully should be able to get to the Vatican in time for the funeral. Obviously we'll be bringing you some more special programming from Travel in the Know on the Holy Father's funeral mass. See you later and thanks for watching.